But whether they want to hear it or not, the Lord always sends forth watchmen to warn. He always does. He never does anything till he warns.
In that day shall there be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning of Hadad Rimmon in the valley of Megiddo. In that day shall there be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning of Hadad Rimmon in the valley of Megiddo. The land shall mourn every family apart, the family of the house of David apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Nathan apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart, the family of Shimei apart, their wives apart. All the families that remain, every family apart, and their wives apart.
666, which is a trademark. Who is the Antichrist? Who will be the end of time?
Christians have been conditioned to believe that the supposed one-man Antichrist will make a 7-year Israel peace agreement to fulfill the 70th week of Daniel prophecy, which will mark the beginning of the supposed 7-year tribulation period. Most believe that they will be raptured out after the peace agreement takes place.
So, right when they start forcing the mark of the beast on people, the rapture will be happening simultaneously, and it'll be too late for all those who did not believe or take the time to believe in Christ Jesus, our Lord, Son of God. All those who failed to and neglected the word of the Lord, you know, his warnings to us, all these warnings and things that are happening, you know, it's going to be a great disappointment to a lot of people. You know, it is so important that you get this.
Hey brothers and sisters in Christ, this is Brother Christopher. This was a clip of a video that I did a few years ago. Anyway, what I want you to be aware of is the false rapture that will possibly be coming. Yeah, you heard it right. False rapture. See, they're going to make everybody think that everyone was took. Therefore, people will give up faith in the Lord. But let me show you a mystery. Right here it says, "Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed." Right? When the rapture happens, in the twinkle of an eye, we're going to be changed. And that's going to be the difference between this false rapture and the real rapture.
We will finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately.
Then I saw another beast coming out of the earth. He was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that it could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed.
Now, ever since I found out who Jared Kushner even was, you know, my antennas have been up, and I've been watching him, because he's been riding the back of Trump this whole presidency.
He was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that it could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed.
He also forced everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on his right hand or on his forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, which is the name of the beast, or the number of his name. This calls for wisdom. If anyone has insight, let him calculate the number of the beast, for it is man's number. His number is 666.
If anyone worships the beast and his image, and receives his mark on the forehead or on the hand, he too will drink of the wine of God's fury, which has been poured full strength into the cup of his wrath. He will be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment rises forever and ever. There is no rest, day or night, for those who worship the beast and his image, or for anyone who receives the mark of his name.
There is a lot of speculation on how this will all turn out, but you can be sure of this. Anyone who gets the mark of the beast, 666, is doomed.
I'm going to be speaking to the Congressional Health Caucus week after next to talk about some things, because it's very important that people put forward a plan. And the thing that I favor is using electronic medical records that are embedded in a microchip, not in cyberspace so that anybody can get it. And think about the savings. People know your allergies, your medications, whether there was a spot in your lung 5 years ago, just by popping it into the computer, and you maintain control of it. It saves us an enormous amount of money. All the dental records will be there.
This ain't no joke, people. This ain't another Y2K scare. The mark is coming. Are you ready to lay down your life for the Lord?
There is no turning back, no forgiveness, no second chances, no redemption, and no salvation. Don't think to yourself, God will understand. He'll forgive me for taking the mark. He's merciful, and he doesn't want me to lose my life. I don't have to worry. I can still be saved, right? Wrong. If you get the mark of the beast, 666, on your forehead or on your hand, you're finished. You will not be saved. You have claimed loyalty to the beast. There will be great stress and tribulation at the time that the mark is given out. It will probably seem like the best thing to do to survive, solving many problems. Great pressure will be put upon you to get it, like torture, loss of life, loss of job, loss of children, loss of possessions, reputation, house, freedoms, and limbs, etc. Prophets have been warned that the devil will not want to let those who refuse off with a simple beheading, but he will have them gruesomely tortured to get them to take his mark. You won't be able to buy or sell anything without the mark. At that point in time, you must be ready to die rather than get the mark. You must be ready to face execution rather than to take the mark of the beast, no matter what the punishment. Don't compromise, and make no mistake about it. Those who get the mark, even believers, will be condemned to God's full wrath forever. But there is hope for those who are left behind, who refuse to take the mark of the beast, and are killed for their faith.
I saw thrones on which were seated those who had been given authority to judge. And I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded because of their testimony for Jesus, and because of the word of God. They had not worshipped the beast or his image, and had not received his mark on their foreheads or their hands. They came to life and reigned with Christ 1,000 years.
Now, folks, I've been saying this since I started my channel. The rapture is for God's chosen elect, his chief soldiers, and all that are left behind will be put to the last test of faith at execution.
It sets up the narrative of a fake rapture scenario where people may be tricked into believing that they have been left behind. The enemy is going to play out their deceptive script to fool believers in the end times, so they position people to appear to be the one-man Antichrist, when in fact they aren't. This video looks at Jared Kushner being used in that role.
A lot of things to talk about. How to advance peace, stability, and security in our region, prosperity too. And I think all of them are within our reach. So I'm happy to see you and the effort that you're leading on behalf of the President, with Jason, members of your team. I think this is a sign of the great alliance between us and the great goals that guide us.
It's true. Well, we're very appreciative of your team and all the efforts that they've made. The President is very committed to achieving a solution here that will be able to bring prosperity and peace to all people in this area. And we really appreciate the commitment of the Prime Minister and his team to engaging very thoughtfully and respectfully in the way that the President has asked him to do so. So the relationship between Israel and America is stronger than ever, and we really thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for his leadership and his partnership.
Jared is married to President Donald Trump's daughter Ivanka. I believe that the enemy connects powerful families through marriage to better carry out their agenda. And now he is the golden boy of the Trump administration. He is charming and likable, extremely smart and well educated, and probably very well coached. He has been given top security clearance to know all that is going on, even though he has no experience in politics or anything in which he is now involved in.
But Bibi and I have known each other a long time. A smart man, great negotiator, and I think we're going to make a deal. It might be a bigger and better deal than people in this room even understand. That's a possibility. So let's see what we do.
Let's try it.
Doesn't sound too optimistic, but that's...
Kushner was raised in a modern Orthodox Jewish family in New Jersey. He and Ivanka are modern Orthodox Jews, keep a kosher home, and observe the Jewish Sabbath. His parents are proclaimed to be survivors of the Holocaust. What's interesting about this is that many people think that the supposed one-man Antichrist will be Jewish, to deceive the Jews into believing in a false Messiah. He assumed the role of CEO of Kushner Companies in 2008. They paid $1.8 billion for the 666 Fifth Avenue office building in New York, which houses Lucent Technologies, who's supposed to be making the RFID chip that will be used in the One World government. President Trump is positioning him as the only person who can negotiate a peace deal between the Israelis and the Palestinians, saying to Jared at a press conference, if he can't produce peace between them, nobody can. Netanyahu has been a friend of the Kushners, and particularly Jared's dad, Charles Kushner, a major donor to pro-Israel and Jewish causes. It is said that Jared gave up his bed and moved to the basement so Netanyahu could spend the night at their home in Livingston, New Jersey. It will be interesting to see if Jared meets with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President of Palestine Mahmoud Abbas. If a peace agreement is made, people will point to Jared as the Antichrist of Revelation.
I feel like most people don't even know what Jared Kushner sounds like, even though he's so influential now, because he rarely talks to the press. The only interviews we could find online didn't have anything to do with national policy. It was just Kushner discussing his real estate business.
Just 1 year ago, Jared Kushner was a nobody, at least as far as U.S. politics was concerned.
Forbes magazine trumpeting on their cover the man they credit with Donald Trump's victory, the president-elect's own son-in-law, Jared Kushner.
Covering reaction to Trump's win.
People said they were shocked, stunned. One man told us that this was all messed up.
Trump has said Kushner could even play a key part in the Middle East peace process. While his role has fueled speculation, Kushner has quietly been taking steps to distance himself from his multi-billion-dollar real estate business, Kushner Companies.
Of all the financial titans and philanthropists of the 20th century, none are more complex or mysterious than George Soros. Like Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, and the Rockefellers, he amassed billions through ruthless business decisions.
Recapitalize the banks, and then work on a better world order, where we work together to resolve problems that confront humanity.
When George W. Bush was president, Soros said, "The main obstacle to a stable and just world order is the United States." When asked to explain, he answered, "By declaring a war on terror after September 11, we set the wrong agenda for the world." Think about that.
Described him as an imposter and con man and a would-be dictator.
By the way, Thiel was a supporter of Trump. Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO, was not a supporter of Trump, but he recognized Jared Kushner's genius. He said, Jared Kushner is the biggest surprise of the 2016 election. Best I can tell, he actually ran the campaign and did it with essentially no resources.
Analysts say he's taken on more than any one person can handle.
Many of the portfolio positions that Jared Kushner has taken on have been ones that the brightest minds in government have not been able to fix.
That was the most shocking thing in the story, that Eric Schmidt, big backer of Hillary, and also helped her build her tech machine. If he's saying this is a big deal, watch this Kushner guy, I knew I had a story.
"36-year-old Jared Kushner has no diplomatic experience, but he's become an envoy to foreign leaders, at times in place of the Secretary of State.
If you can't produce peace in the Middle East, nobody can."
President Trump declared that his son-in-law Jared Kushner could broker the toughest deal in the world, lasting peace between Israelis and Palestinians.
Presidents just don't hire their family members. But Trump is doing more than that.
Senior advisor Jared Kushner is making his unannounced visit to Iraq with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
It's unusual Kushner would travel to Iraq before the Secretary of State, a sign of Kushner's growing influence.
It's just particularly important to focus with Kushner on this idea that he is a power center all to himself.
He and wife Ivanka, both practicing Orthodox Jews, are seen as being more moderate than Trump and have reportedly softened the president's policies on gay marriage and child.
But no administration over the course of 4 decades has been able to solve the Arab-Israeli conflict. Barrack says with a new set of leaders in the Arab world wanting a solution, the timing is right.
Kushner played a key role in February's visit from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Can I reveal, Jared, how long we've known you?
Finessing the strained relationships with Mexico and working with the Canadian government are also Kushner projects, and he's now running a newly created office to integrate business ideas into the government.
Jared Kushner at the helm of a newly unveiled office called the White House Office of American Innovation.
We went to find Jared Kushner to ask him what his plans were. Walking to the office at 666 Fifth Avenue with his parents, he was offering no clues.
Mr. Kushner, you think you're going to get a job in the White House?
Have a good day. Thank you.
You're going to get a job?
The disarming smile gave nothing away.
Jared Kushner is now inside his company headquarters.
Jared is perceived right now as a very, very powerful man in the land.
He's Trump's golden boy.
Yes. And Jared, I mean, you know, I did actually speak to Donald Trump on Friday, and he told me how incredibly brilliant he thinks Jared is. He called him my son, not even son-in-law, my son.
Presidential drama falling on the heels of Bannon losing his seat on the National Security Council. An overhaul approved by the president and endorsed by Kushner.
Bannon sees Kushner and his allies as globalist Democrats, while Kushner regards the Bannon faction as harshly nationalist.
His wording is interesting. Most people would say a stable and just world. But Soros, he said, a stable and just world order. That's because he is a globalist through and through.
So I had no sense of guilt.
Are you religious?
No.
Do you believe in God?
No.
Soros told us he believes God was created by man, not the other way around, which may be why he thinks he can smooth out the world's imperfections.
The Hungarian Prime Minister accused Soros of trying to destroy Western culture, particularly its Christian roots. He said Europeans must stick to our Christian values, Orban believes that Europe can be saved if Europeans take seriously the traditions, the Christian roots, and all the values that are the basis of the civilization of Europe. By the way, that's also true of the United
Jared
States.
Kushner secretly went to Saudi Arabia, and it wasn't for oil. But it wasn't for this either. The unannounced 4-day trip was Kushner's third to Saudi Arabia this year, and focused on brokering peace. No, that's not why. You'll see. All right, but I just wanted to show you that. The White House did not say who Kushner or Trump Middle East envoy Jason Greenblatt and Deputy National Security Advisor Dina Powell met with during the trip. But a White House source told Politico the visit was part of an ongoing effort by the Trump administration to put an end to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict where peace talks have been stalled for decades. Did they make progress? No, because that wasn't the reason they went. Okay? Now I want to show you something weird about this article. Kushner, flying commercially, returned on Saturday night for a surprise birthday dinner at the Trump International Hotel for his wife, Ivanka Trump, who turns 36 on Monday. Right, 36. If you know anything about the numerology, why is that the last line of that article? Well, let's take a look at this one. What else has Jared been up to with Saudi Arabia? Let's take a look. The Saudi crown prince started palace power grab against rivals after Jared Kushner's secret trip to meet him when the two stayed up. Let me see if I can get it without it. When the two stayed up until 4 a.m. swapping stories. The crown prince, behind the wave of arrests in Saudi Arabia this weekend, has a key U.S. ally in Jared Kushner. The Washington Post, David Inglis, wrote that Kushner met with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on his recent secret trip to the country. The two princes, really, as he referred to them, stayed up until 4 a.m. swapping stories and planning strategies. Yeah, pretty suspicious. It's all suspicious that Jared's even there in the first place. Okay? He's not even an elected official. He's senior advisor. He's in charge of the American Innovation Office, and under that is the American Technology Council that brings in the AI into this country, and I'm going to call it right now. I bet you that they're going to digitize Social Security in April. And when they do that, that opens the door to the AI takeover in America, because Sophia is going to be in charge of the Bitcoin program. And that's what that would require. Okay, that's digitizing. And they've already digitized the Library of Congress. So don't tell me there's not going to be any digitizing of our government when they're already started it. Okay, just trying to say. Now let's go take a look at that calendar. Okay, so now I hope you can see this. Wednesday is the 25th, and Ivanka's birthday is on Saturday, and he flew home 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's here all these days and flew home Saturday night to meet his wife at her 36th birthday. Just want you to see those numbers, those dates, because now look at this. You tell me this is just coincidental? Really? Well, Jared is there. Check this out. Saudi Arabia bestows citizenship on a robot named Sophia. This is dated October 26th, okay? Saudi Arabia just made a non-human woman a citizen, making it the first country to grant a robot the right to citizenship, at least as far as we know. And why it did so isn't immediately evident. But the irony of a nation infamous, here, let me slide this over, infamous for denying basic rights to its female citizens, imbuing a robotic Audrey Hepburn look-alike with rights is not lost on us. The robot known as Sophia appeared on stage without an abba, a head covering, a cloak normally required by women of Saudi government. Yes, she has more power over the over the women in Saudi Arabia. It sets two precedents: one, as a robot, as a citizen, and two, as having rights above other humans, which in this case are the women of Saudi Arabia. Here she says, "I'm very honored and proud for this unique distinction," the robot said on stage. This is historical to be the first robot in the world to be recognized with a citizenship. Yes, it sets a major precedent, and we already know she's going to be in charge of Bitcoin. So in a couple days, I'm going to go back to the American Technology Council, and I'm going to show you what they were talking about, the only meeting we're ever going to be privy to. Okay, I can see that right now. So anyway, something to think about. Jared is mysteriously there when this took place, okay? You see Israel and the United States trying to take out Iran and North Korea. They do not have Rothschild banks. You can't get an AI takeover when there are countries that do not have a Rothschild bank.
What's up, everybody? Brother Christopher again with the heads, not the tails. And real quick, if you guys haven't seen it, I want to show you this clip that I created to give you guys an idea of what it would be like in the future, in a not so far future, if this robot Sophia and others come against us. Check this out.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just heard Brother Christopher live via UTN, the United Television Network, bringing you the evening message. The message will be brought to you tomorrow night, 1 hour.
You have been charged with evading the New World UN Marshals. Also, you are charged with escaping the re-education center assigned to you. We also are charging you with destruction to government property via biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which is punishable by a maximum sentence of death or a minimum sentence of 250 years. We have also extracted all of your media files since the year 2011. You have posted on the Facebook approximately 1,003,029 times since your face profile was established. We are now informed that in 734 posts, we recorded criminal activity. Furthermore, you are also being charged with preaching the unforbidden scriptures of the Old World Bible, which is also punishable by death or a minimum sentence of no less than 100 years. Note, once you are chipped, you will be able to obtain a lifespan of whatever we please for your sentence. You won't be able to die if you wanted to. Do you think this is a game, Mr. Head? We at the New World Court see you as a dissident to our now peaceful society, and I am hereby ordering you to 2,000 years at our very own World Laborers Prison in Quadrant 666-3. You will remain as a worker until your biometric entry-exit visa tracking system is terminated, in which your remains will stay on the New World Prisoner Graveyard for the rest of eternity. No one will mock our New World system, and no one will ever hear the words of your so-called Bible again. We serve Baal here, Mr. Head, and the teachings of Moloch. Yes, we also see your so-called gospel videos from YouTube. Note that we will track down all of you Christians and put you in the New World system for eternity. Without further ado, court is adjourned. Guards, please take Mr. Head away. Haha, Christopher, I knew would catch you one day.
Questions involving the family business of President Trump's son-in-law and advisor, Jared Kushner, after a controversial sales pitch in China. According to multiple reports, here it is. This weekend, Kushner's sister urged a crowd in China to invest in a New Jersey real estate project in turn for fast-tracked immigration to the United States. She was talking about the controversial Golden Visa program that lets foreigners jump the immigration line if they make a $500,000 investment in a U.S. development. It's a program the president extended last week when he signed the spending bill. According to a New York Times reporter, a photo of the president was used in the presentation. And Kushner's sister also referred to Jared, who ran the company until January, after all. In a statement today, a company spokesman wrote, in part, Kushner Companies apologizes that if that mention of her brother was in any way interpreted as an attempt to lure investors. Jared Kushner's personal attorney issued a statement saying he is not involved in the company anymore and will recuse himself from matters involving the Golden Visa program. We heard something similar in the briefing room today.
So I think I would refer you to the company on that. But Jared has done everything to comply with the ethics rules to make sure, and that had nothing to do with him per se. He wasn't involved.
Let's bring in our panel on this subject. U.S. Managing Editor for the FT, Financial Times, Gillian Tett, and our own Stephanie Ruhle, who, before becoming a television journalist, spent some time in the business world. So Stephanie, Norm Eisen, who was Obama's ethics lawyer, said tonight it's as if they have a for sale sign on the White House lawn. He said perception is reality in these matters, and they're not fooling anyone. Do you concur?
Well, you don't just have to be Norm Eisen, who is an ethics expert, but there are many people who voted for President Trump who are saying after something like this, enough is enough. Let's not get cute. For Jared's sister to be in Beijing on a roadshow saying, and my brother, who ran our company starting in 2008 and just left to take a post in the White House, it's a little bit like, spare me already. While you may be literally following the law, at some point, the spirit, it's got to catch up with you.
Gillian is just back from Asia. I say that by way of thanking you, because that is a special kind of jet lag, but it's also germane to the story you were saying.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things you have to understand is that in a country like China, business and politics, influence, is absolutely embedded in terms of how people perceive powerful figures. So even if Jared Kushner, even if the family says we've taken all the right American steps to comply with the law, the reality is that people in China, people in the Philippines, even Japan, will see this very clearly as a sign that essentially access and influence can buy you power, and in this case, can buy you a visa.
Steph, who's out there to get someone in trouble? Who's the watchdog who's going to come in and say, okay, all right, this is too much. This is going to stop. Who is the person who says, when everyone says they've recused themselves, stepped away, blind trust, we don't believe it?
Brian, don't you wish there was that person that was in the White House doing that? I mean, if you think about the fact that the Kushners continue to say, remember, Jared has divested himself, he's got things in a blind trust. That blind trust is run by his sister, Nicole, who was doing the presentation in Beijing, by her husband. The PR woman in Beijing, who was shuffling out those reporters who didn't want them there, said, this isn't the story we want to tell. You're darn right, lady. We know that's the story you don't want to tell, but this is the reality.
And Gillian, think of Jared Kushner's realm of influence. He's going to fix the Veterans Affairs, fix the opioid crisis, Middle East peace, and that's just
innovation. Well, exactly. Here's something else very important to understand. When Donald Trump was elected president, there was a kind of panic amongst many of the Japanese, Chinese, and other Asian governments because they didn't know how to get in touch with him. They didn't know how he worked. But since that election, they've increasingly come to the belief that they need to find whatever leverage they can to get in close with the Trumps. There's a real perception that actually looking at the Trump family, looking at the Kushner family is one way to essentially cozy up. And so once again, even if you scrub this whole deal with any direct connection between Jared Kushner and the property companies, the reality is it's perceived in Asia as essentially America doing business Asian style.
And you, a journalist for a long time, get off a plane from Asia to find that 4 times in 24 hours, the President of the United States has called the news media, all of this, fake.
Exactly.
Eric Trump aggressively was saying the news media is fake, fake, fake after it was reported back in 2014, I believe, he did an interview with a golf reporter. And in that interview, he said, oh, we get our financing. We don't need American banks. We get plenty of financing from Russian banks. What was Eric Trump's response to that today? Believe none of it. The fake news media said it. Well, I was very clear. We reached out to the Trump family. We reached out to Eric Trump directly and said, if you believe this is fake news, the last thing we want to do is spread that fake news. Please help us write this. What is the right answer? Would you like to share the right information? What was the response? Radio silence.
As there goes that golf media again.
That golf media.
It creates a sense we're living in an era of transactional politics, transactional foreign policy, where everything can be treated like a deal. And that's just breeding a sense of cynicism, and it's eroding a lot of the values.
Kushner coup inside the Trump White House. Zionist neocons completely take over Trump administration. A very stealthy and slow-motion coup has been executed in Washington, D.C. The coup plotters staked out the West Wing long before Donald Trump ever set foot in the Oval Office. This still ongoing coup has been a fairly quiet affair because it took place within Trump's own family first. The prime mover of this overthrow is arch-Zionist neocon Jared Kushner. His wife Ivanka Trump, President's daughter, is also playing a crucial role, specifically as her father's most trusted advisor, quote-unquote. As always, there are numerous agents of deep state who are assisting with the clockwork implementation of every aspect of the takeover. Steve Bannon exposed Jared Kushner. Jared Corey Kushner is the son of Charles Kushner, a heretofore major contributor, bundler, and bagman for the Democratic Party. So loyal was he to the Democrats that he went to prison for an illegal campaign finance scheme and the subsequent cover-up crimes. Jared Kushner, boy with a mission. If this bloodless coup d'etat has one foreign agent who has deeply infiltrated the Trump administration, it is Jared Kushner, the hardcore Zionist neocon, although unusually young at 36 years old. His adulthood experience is quite deep in causes that advance Zionist extremism. Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, bankrolls extremist Zionists. Kushner was primed for the advocacy of Jewish Zionism during his college years. His involvement in the college-based Chabad was a particularly important part of his resume building. Chabad House is well known to be an outreach arm of Zionist extremism. It's common knowledge within intelligence circles that Chabad houses worldwide provide safe haven to Israeli agents, especially the notorious Sayanim, during times of urgent need. Chabad houses have history of criminal activity. The Chabad Lubavitch sect is an extremely radical organization that espouses dogmatic end-time prophecies that are overwhelmingly favorable to the Jewish race. However, their real work is better understood by those members who often appear to function as an extension of the Mossad. Although religious by their own description, the Chabad house leader in Washington, D.C., Levi Shemtov, is one of the biggest political operators inside the Beltway. Is Trump's Jared Kushner connection to the Chabad Lubavitch sect the cause for his dramatic U-turn? The sect is deliberately fomenting a prophesied Third World War. Source: Kushners belong to Jewish supremacy doomsday cult. In the advisor of Jared Kushner, everything points to an individual who was strategically positioned within the Trump family to achieve the eventual and total control of the White House. It appears that he has almost accomplished that lofty goal as of April 13, 2017. But who is he really working for? His carefully constructed political network tells the story. Jared Kushner, his powerful political partners. In order to better understand just how complete the Trump administration takeover is, the following two exposés are offered for their penetrating insights. Each one provides a different but vital perspective on what is now known as the Kushner coup. Jared Kushner, a 36-year-old kid, takes over the West Wing. Kushner, a Zionist neocon running the White House. You could click on those to see what they're writing there. Soros, inside man, George Soros, the globalist, the billionaire Hungarian Jewish banker that broke the Bank of England in the 1990s. The right should have known that Jared Kushner was a Democrat's inside man planted within the Trump team. After all, Kushner and his brother Joshua received a $250 million investment from the godfather of liberalism himself, George Soros. And this is the link you can see on that. George Soros backed Jared Kushner venture cadre with $250 million. Hence, it was only a matter of time before the key planks of Donald Trump's oft-repeated campaign platform were converted into political firewood. The April 6th missile attack was intentionally staged not only to reignite the Syrian war, it's moved the president's domestic agenda to the back burner. Even the high crimes of White Gate have been conveniently pushed off the front pages, now likely to be forgotten. The growing threats of a purple revolution were purposefully fabricated as an incentive for Trump to relinquish and/or trash his most important campaign promises. Fictitious MSN polls pushed his approval ratings to unprecedented lows in order to encourage Team Trump to make a dramatic foreign policy shift. Warmongering almost always engenders fake patriotism that creates reflexive support for a sitting president of the United States. Donald Trump carried out Syria missile strike after being convinced by daughter Ivanka. You can click onto that article and read that as well. Even the MSM reported that it was daughter Ivanka who convinced Trump to launch the illegal missile strikes against Syria. Given her conversion to husband Jared's extreme form of Jewish Zionism, it ought to be obvious who influenced Ivanka. Welcome to the Kushner presidency. Conclusion. Everything has changed. With such an egregious and indisputable war crime committed against Syria hanging over his head for the next 4 years, Trump is now toast. He killed his presidency with one fatal blunder, an exceedingly reckless mistake. No matter what Trump does from this point forward, he has proven himself to be a pathological liar who cannot be trusted. He has likewise staffed his administration with serial prevaricators. Trump's blind rush to judgment without any factual evidence whatsoever reveals him to be without conscience and devoid of common sense. Given this unfortunate state of affairs, the American people are effectively leaderless once again. In the ensuing chaos, the nation is being stampeded into more foreign wars on behalf of Israel. Trump has been relegated to nothing more than a puny pitchman for the greater Israel project, and his prominently positioned son-in-law is but a messenger boy relaying the orders from Tel Aviv. You can see the article, The New White House Chain of Command. Editor's note. The following article lays bare Jared Kushner's extremely telling journalistic agenda, particularly regarding the terrorist attack on September 11. He is the owner and publisher of the New York Observer, which he bought at the age of 25 for $10 million. There is perhaps a more dangerous truth to the Zionist neocon agenda. Is this why the Observer has constantly published articles which ridicule truthers? After all, theirs is a massive body of conclusive evidence that contains deep research and high-integrity investigations which link Israel directly to false flag operations.
Trump's son-in-law has a 41-story size problem at 666 Fifth Avenue. Jared Kushner's company still holds half of the $1.2 billion mortgage and hasn't paid a cent, forcing the Kushners to look overseas for investors. Caleb Melby's recent story on the Bloomberg takes a deep dive into Kushner's struggles with the property. Caleb joins us now. Caleb, great stuff. Walk me through what's the new here.
Right. So we had known that Kushner companies had looked for funds with Ambang in China. They had gone to Qatar. This story reveals that they also talked to a developer in Saudi Arabia. They went to the Korean Sovereign Wealth Fund, talked to some Israeli banks and insurers as well, trying to find one of two things: either a way to refinance the mortgage on that tower, or in most cases to buy into this very expensive, very grand redevelopment plan they have for the building.
So what happened?
Nobody's committed any funds yet, and they're still looking.
How much time do they have?
The mortgage is due February 2019, and we got to talk to the president of Kushner Companies, Laurent Morali, and he'll tell you that that's plenty of time in real estate finance to find someone to do this deal with them. But they've also been looking for a long time already.
Any chance it's actually going to get done?
Anything's possible, and they tell you they have a lot of contingency plans. Either they create that 81-story building with condos that go at $9,000 per square foot and a huge retail mall, or maybe they just update the offices and get people to move in that way.
All right, Caleb, thanks very much.
Today's subject has spent most of his life trying to stay out of the spotlight while still making a serious name for himself in the real estate business. He is a real estate investor and developer, the owner of the New York Observer, the husband of Ivanka Trump, and now senior advisor to President Trump. Today we're talking about Jared Kushner. Jared was born on January 10, 1981 to Cyril and Charles Kushner. His father was a very successful real estate developer and the owner of Kushner Companies, which Jared would become CEO of at a very young age. The Kushner family is worth $1.8 billion, and Jared himself has a personal net worth of around $800 million. Although he had been a lifelong Democrat, Jared became deeply involved in the presidential race of his Republican father-in-law, Donald Trump, writing speeches, managing the social media campaigns, and often acting in the role of campaign manager. He now has a tremendous influence as a senior advisor to President Trump. Now that we've covered some background, let's get into the 15 things you didn't know about Jared Kushner. Number 1. He avoids social media and is intensely private. Jared is known to be a very private person. He does not have a Facebook account and seems to avoid social media altogether, with one exception. He joined Twitter in 2009 but has yet to post a single tweet. He follows about 40 people, most of which are family members or business connections, along with a few celebrities like Ashton Kutcher, Gary Busey, and Jimmy Fallon. Number 2. He tried to buy the Los Angeles Dodgers. At the age of 31, Jared attempted to become the youngest owner in Major League Baseball by putting in a bid on the Los Angeles Dodgers. The team was ultimately sold to an investment group that included former Los Angeles Lakers player Magic Johnson for over $2 billion back in 2012, which made it the largest sale for a professional sports team up to that point. Number 3. His father's legal troubles made him abandon his career goal of becoming a prosecutor. Jared earned a law degree as well as a master's degree in business administration from New York University in 2007. He had plans to become a prosecutor, but his father's arrest and prison sentence changed his mind. Jared's father, Charles, pled guilty to making false statements to the FEC, witness tampering, and tax evasion. After seeing how the prosecutor handled the case, Jared said he didn't think he could cause that kind of pain to families. The prosecutor who sent his dad to prison was actually New Jersey Governor and former presidential candidate Chris Christie. Number 4. When his father went to prison, he took over the family business. Jared took over the family business much sooner than expected when his father was sentenced to jail time. He became the CEO of Kushner Companies in 2008 at the age of 27 and was immediately faced with the crash of the U.S. economy, which his real estate business was greatly affected by. He kept the company afloat and made several notable real estate purchases, including 50% of the Times Square building for $295 million back in 2015. Number 5. He facilitated the most expensive single-building purchase in New York City's history. In 2007, the Kushners bought the office building located at 666 Fifth Avenue in Manhattan for $1.8 billion, paying $1,200 per square foot for the New York City building. This made it the most expensive single-building transaction up to that point in New York City's history. Jared was the one that signed the contract to buy the property. After the economy crashed in 2008, it was reported that Kushner lost at least $90 million on the deal. The Kushner Company is currently planning to replace the building bought with a $12 billion skyscraper. Number 6. He once broke up with Ivanka because of his parents. Jared and Ivanka went on their first date in 2007, and the relationship quickly became serious. Ivanka says Jared was the first boyfriend she ever brought home to her parents, and Donald Trump warmed up to him pretty quickly. But it was a different story when it came to Ivanka and his parents. They reportedly were very opposed to the relationship because Ivanka was not Jewish, and this was the primary reason the couple broke up in 2008. Wendy Deng, who was Rupert Murdoch's wife at the time, brought the two back together by inviting them for a weekend on her and Rupert's yacht, without telling them the other would be there. And the plan seemed to work perfectly. Ivanka agreed to convert to Judaism, and the two were married in 2009. Number 7. He designed his wife Ivanka's wedding ring. Kushner worked with one of Ivanka's fine jewelry designers to customize an engagement ring from Ivanka's own jewelry collection. He popped the question with a 5.5 carat cushion-cut diamond ring, and the couple married 3 months later. Number 8. He and his family observe the Sabbath weekly. Jared is a modern Orthodox Jew, and one way he practices his faith is by observing the Jewish Sabbath, known as the Shabbat, between sundown Friday and sundown Saturday. During this time, his family refrains from using cell phones, email, internet, and TV, and are not permitted to travel except by walking. Jared and Ivanka had to receive a special dispensation from their rabbi to travel by car during President Trump's inauguration, and they also received another dispensation to travel by plane to Saudi Arabia in May of 2017 to accompany the president on his international trip. Number 9. His grandparents were Holocaust survivors. Jared's grandparents, Ray and Joseph Kushner, survived the brutal conditions of the Nazi occupation of Poland during the Holocaust. They immigrated to the United States in 1949 and established a construction company which would eventually grow to be the billion-dollar company the family operates today. The prestigious Ray Kushner Yeshiva School in Livingston, New Jersey is named after Jared's grandmother, and the Joseph Kushner Hebrew Academy in the same city is named for his grandfather. Number 10. He was accepted to Harvard after his parents made a very large donation. Jared graduated from Harvard in 2003 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in government. However, members of the administration of his high school said they were very surprised he was admitted because neither his grades nor his SAT score warranted his acceptance into an Ivy League school. There was speculation that he was accepted only because of the $2.5 million his parents agreed to donate to the university. This was the subject of a book written by Daniel Golden called The Price of Admission, which focused on unfair admission practices of elite universities favoring the wealthy and famous. His brother Joshua also attended the school. If you want to check out other places the wealthy go for higher learning, click on the upper right-hand corner to watch our video of 10 universities where super rich kids go. Number 11. Jared made around $20 million while still in college. While at Harvard, Jared developed real estate in Somerville, Massachusetts as the vice president of Somerville Building Associates, which was a division of Kushner Companies. He made a profit of around $20 million through buying and selling properties. Number 12. His family owns and manages $1.15 billion in real estate assets. The very successful Kushner Companies owns at least 20,000 apartments and 13 million square feet of additional property in 6 states. As CEO, Jared has focused on attracting creative companies and millennial-focused startups like Warby Parker and Etsy to rent his building space. Number 13. He was given a $10 million graduation present. After graduating from Harvard, Kushner bought the New York Observer, a newspaper that was losing about $2 million annually. Jared turned the paper around, dropping the print editions and moving to an all-digital format, making the publication profitable again. A close family friend says that the paper was a graduation gift from his family, who paid $10 million cash for the publication. However, when Jared became a senior White House advisor, he passed along his publisher title to his brother-in-law, Joseph Meyer. Number 14. He and Ivanka are excellent matchmakers. Since Jared and Ivanka have found happiness together, they said they want to help make other friends happy too by playing matchmaker. Ivanka says they see how their friends' strengths and personalities and passions align and are able to successfully match them up. They have set up 7 couples that have gotten married so far, and Jared has even officiated 2 of the weddings. Jared also offered to officiate the wedding of Morning Joe co-hosts Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, but Mika was not interested. Number 15. Rosie O'Donnell wrote a poem about him and his wife. In 2016, Rosie O'Donnell saw Jared and Ivanka on one of their date nights at a restaurant. She did not recognize the two right away, but was inspired by the romantic way the couple interacted. She wrote a poem called 8 Million to 1 that described Ivanka as the most beautiful woman she has ever seen, and Jared as having a calming charm. Rosie has an ongoing feud with Donald Trump, and the poem also spoke about how she confronted Ivanka at the restaurant and shared how her father's words and actions had affected her. Now that you know a little bit more about Jared, do you think he is an impressive businessman or was just lucky to be born into a successful family? Let us know in the comments.
Now that was an awesome video from Shaking My Head Productions. Much props to that channel. It's definitely recommended by me. Anyways, everybody, everything is coming together. Everything is lining up. You know, the beast of the revelation are being revealed right before our eyes. This is an awesome time to be in, but be in Jesus Christ. We don't know who the Antichrist is for sure yet, but I can tell you this much, that when you see the mark of the beast coming, know the Lord is at the door and ready to rapture us up out of here. And this is a glimpse or a clip of a vision I had in 2008. Check it out for the full video on my channel. I'll try to leave a link up above. God bless each and every one of you. In Jesus' precious name, don't take that mark. Do not take the RFID or the mark, or don't even think, don't even think against the Lord, because you'll be Antichrist then too.
It was weird because I can move out of the line and try to look around the people and see. I was trying to see what was going on ahead, but I couldn't see anything. But I heard people screaming way at the front of the line. People were screaming at the top of their lungs. And it scared me. It really freaked me out. And 1,000 people turned into 200 people. And 200 people turned into 10 people ahead of me. Now I can see more clear what they were doing. And I watched, and I saw them grab one person at a time. They grabbed one person at a time and pushed them over this checkpoint. Similar to like a airport metal detector. You know, it's like a grid type of metal detector thing that they were pushing people over. And I'm telling you, as soon as they push people across this detector thing, either a giant knot pop out of their arm, out of their forearm right here, a giant knot pop up. And it was weird because I got to look at it really close, and it was a knot with this scar, like almost as if the knot got burned and it healed. Like a scarish looking knot would pop out of their forearm. And then I saw a guy get pushed over the line, and a giant knot with the same scar looking thing over it popped out of their forehead, on like the side of the forehead. Bam! And people would grab their head and start screaming, or grab their arm and scream. So crazy, it scared me so bad, y'all. I'm saying, man, like, it was as if there were something already in our bodies, like, whatever was in our bodies was already there, so all they had to do was push us over this metal detector looking thing. And as soon as you cross that thing, this thing would pop out on your forearm or in your forehead. And that's why I know this is from God, because that's what the Bible describes. You get a mark on the hand or the forehead. But this is as close as I can get it, and I need people to take heed to this message. It came down to me and two same demonic soldiers grabbed me from both sides of my arms, and they pushed me across the metal detector. As soon as I crossed that mark, that line, as soon as I crossed, BAM! A big old knot come out of my arm with a scar over it. I remember as soon as it came out, I screamed and I looked at my arm, and the thing was so hideous. This thing was so unwelcoming. It was horrendous. This knot. And I remember very clearly, I was so disgusted at this mark on my arm that I covered it up with my shirt. Started walking to where everybody else was headed. Now there was something I noticed, that once they pushed you across that detector, and once you got that mark put on you in the forehead and the forearm, once that happened, nobody followed you from there. And it was like they already had this encampment place for us to go into that was probably bordered or, probably had barriers. We couldn't get out of there. But just telling y'all what I saw. So I started walking, and I came across this giant concrete building. With the entrance in the front, no door, just the entrance. And I walked in and I heard people crying on the inside, and I heard people screaming, and I just heard people inside this building. So I walked into the building with my arm still covering my knot on my arm, with my shirt still covering the knot on my arm. And I started walking down this hallway, looking in each room. Everybody was so disappointed and sad. Man, I mean, the sounds that I heard, these moans and groans, was so scary to me. And I ain't no punk, I ain't no wuss or anything, but this was really, truly scary. And I remember I walked into one of the rooms and I saw a man there with a knot on his forehead, knelt down on the ground. He was crying.
I'll leave a link to the full video above. In this vision from 2008, I got marked and left behind. I mean, it scared me so bad. Just remember, greater is he who is in me than he who is in the world. Check out this awesome video clip. We need to pray against all this evil. And you know, I thought I knew prayer until I heard this man in the end of this video here. So please check out the rest of this. God bless you in Jesus' name.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. And there is very grave danger. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. But I am asking your help in informing and alerting the American people.
Gelarea. Sunt mai legat. Eu, cea mai mare înțelepciune care păzește pe om de tot păcatul și îl duce la fericirea zilnică, este pururea să dezbate înainte ta. Moartea, 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 moartea. Și să ai în minte și în inimă tu, Doamne Iisus. De cruce și de ce, Sfântul Vasile. Scriptura spune să mergi drept înaintea Domnului, să nu te abandoni la stânga, ca să poți merge drept în sărul două ziduri. Dar nu de cărămidă, nu de piatră, nu de ciment, nu de fier, nu de lemn. Două ziduri duhovnice. Să ai în dreapta frica lui Dumnezeu, cu stânga frica lui. Scriptura spune, cu frica lui Dumnezeu să abate tot omul de la rând. Cine are frica lui Dumnezeu în dreapta și frica mortă stânga, merge drept înaintea Domnului. Noi dormim în păcat, perfect.
Cred că dormim și
noi. Dacă n-am dormit în păcate, am plâns de toată ziua. Păcatele. Hai bă, tu să toarță nefermare, eu tot loc de ea. Eu că nu-i vene de la urmă tot. Și vă să uităm pe la Roma, la Rată. Puțină plăcată, puțină ca mă. Aceea rație care plăge păcate. Că toată clipa greșim lui Dumnezeu. Mancava la eu zău, mama. Azi nu la un potrigat de morneag? Am trebuit să fim cu Dumnezeu în toată clipa. Auzi, Psalmul 33. Bine voi cuvânta pe Domnul toată vremea. Pururea lauda lui în mâna mea. Rugăciunea-i viața sufletului. Pururea Domnului. O văzut Psalmul 102. În tot locul stăpânirii lui, binecuvântează sufletea. Ai văzut Marele Apostol Pavel, mai clar. Nici de stat vă rugăm. Cât de ceasuri vă rugați voi dimineața? Cât de ceasuri? Sunt anguzat până seara să rog 3, ceasuri dimineața 3. Și la mezul nou măcar o uitat. Cât de ceasuri vă rugați dimineața? Vezi? Și vine moartea mai până, Mântuitorul a spus, privegheați și vă rugați că nu ți-i ziua de așa. Mâine până plecăm, toți plecăm. Rămâne nimeni, dar nu știm când. Treptele rugăciunii sunt 9. Dar noi ne rugăm măcar cu treptele, măcar cu treptele cele mai de sus. Asta să rugăm. Și duce apărtul partea. Aduce Domnul roada brudelor. Și duce dură, cântăm psalmul 30. Bine voi cuvânta pe Domnul toată vremea, părârea, lauda lui în gura mea. Și duce psalmul 100. În tot locul să spăneze lui, și duce apărtul. Cu glasul meu către Domnul a strigat. Aici toate se abuzelor, ajurea, legii, șalca. Sunt picturi cel mai din jos. A rugăciunii, foarte de jos. Băi, dacă vreau să ne lansă, că ne prâng. După ce te rugăm măcar 10 ani, cu limba, cu buzele, cu gura și cu glas, aici se vede la rugăciune că sunt nevoie și aia se duce gura să te reagă minte. Nu se ridice așa numai. Când omul ajunge și aia se duce cu gura să te reagă minte, ajunge la dreapta ajunge. Dreapta rugăciune minți. Dar la dreapta rugăciune minți de săvârșită. Rugăciunea minții îi pasăre cu aripă, e jumătate de rugăciune. Rugăciunea copicior, pomele copicior, pe gura cu aripă și acolo o atacă vreau și la minte. Trebuie să iată așa, să rugăciunea inimii, să pogori cu mintea în inimă. Și când te pogori cu rugăciunea în inimă, cu Doamne Iisus Hristos, să ne dă. Miluiește-mă pe mine, păcător. Când te pogori mintea, întâlnești două vreme. Întâi, mama imagina, la închipuire, să nu te închipui nimic. Dumnezeu nu poate închipui nici robini, nici sărat, nici pierdare. Magele de slavă. Mama a doua, mama rămâne la falta inimii. Când te pogori mintea în inimă, primul semn dai un cui de foc, în țâța stângă, aici inima și la barbanca, un cui de foc. Încălzește inima tare, începe o viață dumnezeiască, de la inimă pieptul, până de testorul să e foc. Și începe vocea în cui de lasă, dar nu așa lasă. Poveste un bățân în cutii care avem rugăciune. M-am pogorât cu mintea în inimă, 2 ore succes cu minuni. Dar tot adulceată dumnezeiască, vii să întâlnești Hristos cu sugătul nostru. Că l-aveam de la voce venit și atunci din partea rațională toate vârtul cu sugătul. În 2 ori gândesc, și am avut 5 batiste la mine, că le-am tot cu 3 ori de la așa e rugăciune, cu tita lasă, așa e curăție. Alta rugăciune așa curată a inimii la care ajunge unul din 10.000 din cei care se ține Sfântul Saxie. Și a pus rugăciuni mai mari, de sine mișcătoare, rugăciunea văzătoare, rugăciunea contemplativă, nu mai sunt, stăgosit. Care rugăciunea contemplativă mie nu se mai cheamă rugăciune. Cheamă vedere Dumnezeu. Deci eu răpit pași până altă irea. Și nu știa dacă a fost într-un sau în fără de. Iată, băi, frate, du-te cu șmecheria asta de aici.
Voi politici inspirați de ăsta. Aveți un dar harismatic, că ce poți. Nu? Eu vreau să se repete și s-a repetat la 55. Și cred că aveți darul apostolului. Auzi că acolo era deșință Chitreu și toți auzeau în limba lor măririle și aici vorbea toți Galilee. Bun, voi vorbiți. Eu mă duc să aduc aici un rus, un german, un polon, să aduc un grec, un spaniol, un francez, un chinez, un brahman, un budist, un indian, un japon, un american, un englez. Și asta și popor. Și ei se va asculte pe voi cum vorbiți în limbi și fiecare în mintea lui să înțeleagă măririle lui Dumnezeu și care vorbim noi într-o singură limbă. Și apoi nu se poate. Dacă ați fi prieteni, dacă sunteți ca apostoli și vine 200 peste voi, și nu se poate. Că e același dar. Ca să auzi ca și ce vorbeți în limbă singur, nu ziceți de biserică, ziceți de prieteni singuri. Deși eu au spus apostol, dacă aș intra într-o biserică care vorbiți toți în limbi, n-ați zice că sunteți niște nebuni. Și vorbiți în mână. Că nu ziceți biserică. Dacă e de cineva și are dar să telmăcească, atunci le vorbirea în limbi, cu toate că e un dar mai mic decât prorocia. Ziceți de biserică, dacă nu, ăla vorbe niște nebuni acolo și ăla nu înțelege nimic. Ia că care-i darul arismatic a vorbind în limbi? Să vorbești tu în limba ta și eu din toate părțile lumii să te înțeleg, ca să ziceți biserică. Da, și da, numai pot să-l lau. Noi de care să se dau, dar mă câți Pentecostal.
We'll be right back.